Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
We'll Welcome to Stampede. My name is Legend D Vash, and I'm here to give you the full rundown of tonight's SmackDown Friday night. And now let's get into the show. Cause was it really fight night? Hey, cause chat, your boy Legend D Vash maybe was a bit in and out. Up to that SmackDown was actually good. Was actually better than the past couple weeks. Has SmackDown should have been 3 hours because for this night we got the Yeet Mania, Jay Uso and Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion versus Jacob Fatu and Tamatanga. Did you guys enjoy this main event? Are you guys enjoying the tribal werewolf doing his thing? Well, we also got the elimination qualifying matches. We had LA versus Jay. No, sorry, I'm about to say Jay Uso. Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre. And he won, of course. He's going to Elimination Chamber. And then we got two matches: Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven, and Alexa Bliss versus Candice LeRae. I can't wait to talk about this match. And then Charlotte Flair appears and meets up with Tiffany Stratton. What could it mean? What could it be? We're gonna have some conversation about it. We have the KO card interview: Carmelo Hayes versus Akira Tozawa. Hey, it's pretty cool. He finally got a W. I know the Carmelo Hayes fans are excited for it. And then we got DIY versus Pretty Deadly. Hey, we finally got a match for them. They finally went over, and it was for a non-title match. So without further ado, let's get hyped for episode 113 of Weebs of the Ring and get ready to wrestle through all the madness with us. And let's get to it.
With anime and our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and honest opinions on everything that happened, and give you an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are, of course, brought to you by AniMa W3 Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome and salutations, everybody. It is a wonderful, lovely, and cold Friday night. Some weather's going to be coming in here on the East Coast, but luckily, our SmackDown was in Memphis, Tennessee, more in the centralized location of the East of the United States. But I am, of course, your world champion Watkins here to give you the SmackDown lowdown breakdown of the evening. And of course, I am never alone in this endeavor, for you see, I have two lovely gentlemen here with me to help me kind of help all of us process exactly what happened on this episode of SmackDown. And so, of course, on my right shoulder, the angel to my consciousness as well, the most positive man in the seats right now, the legend, the visionary himself, Vash. Vash, how you doing tonight?
Well, I appreciate you for the introduction. I feel like I can't even say much to add to it because I feel like that was so well presented. I feel like, damn, I am the visionary. I am always optimistic. Like, hey, that's such a beautiful thing. So, chat, welcome to the show. We Weebs of the Ring covering the Friday Night SmackDown and to give you the lowdown. So, we appreciate you being here. I can't wait to talk about the
Mm-hmm.
good, the bad, and the fucking encore. I never expected on a bingo card that 2 weeks in a row we will be having an encore of a Yeet concert. I'm truly lost for words. In the best way possible, chat, by the way. In the best way possible, because two encores in 1 week, insane. I love it, man. I'm so happy
Oh
for
yeah.
Jay. As a fan of Yeet and everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Bless his soul.
Oh yeah. And of course, chat, please give us our yeets in the comments as you're going through the show and all that, especially if you agree with us. If you don't agree with us, give us some no yeets too, because hey, we appreciate those as well. But as always, on my left shoulder, he is the man that will help us process through everything, all these stories going on, all these questionable booking decisions. The man, the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Like compared to like my whole day, doing pretty good. Work and everything like that. Everything was fine. Came home, rested for a little bit because that's definitely needed throughout the day. But yeah, the
Mm,
SmackDown show, there is definitely some questionable decisions that we need to talk about, which
yeah.
is fun for me to dive into that because I don't know, it just leads to some very memorable conversations on the show whenever we do.
So,
That is true.
I have a question. right before we get into the show, because I know we get to the highlights, the big stuff, the bad stuff. I have a question. Now that we're almost, I think, 6 weeks into the year, so we're all on the same page that Friday Night SmackDown should not be 3 hours long. Is
No,
that correct?
No,
Yeah.
no,
no,
Okay. Cool. I'm
it
just
it should
wanting to
not.
correct.
yeah.
I
It,
just want to confirm in that conversation because, like, of course, we could have brought up yesterday in our new show gap in the week or any other time, but we're all talking about SmackDown, so the best show to talk about in the beginning of the show is at least right now. And this 3 hour SmackDown really is not it. I thought like if it was actually in Netflix, then maybe it would actually be smoother. But even I am, chat, I am watching it through the VPN, so it's still like even getting the countdown. I was watching a wifey.
Mhm.
Even wifey said like, "Oh my gosh, countdown's getting annoying now. Like it's like it just
Yeah.
keeps going."
Boom,
And
boom, boom,
yeah, at
boom,
first
boom,
I didn't
boom.
notice it because I would just fade it out. But once wifey
Mhm.
brought up, every time the ad came up, I'm like, now I'm starting to pay attention. Like, yeah, like as much as the graphics is cool and seeing all the different languages pop up, but at
Yeah.
some point it's gonna just get very stale. So like the mission of this aspect, cool on Netflix. I can watch it. Thank you, VPN, amazing. But when it comes to actually like enjoying the product, I'd rather have gone back to 2 hours, and hopefully Triple H will see the results and see the fandom talking about like, hey, 3 hours is not being it.
I hope he does. And
yeah.
you know what, Chad? I'm gonna start a counter here. And this might seem like maybe a big ego trip, but I don't care right now because I'm in one of those kind of moods right now. I'm gonna just start a counter of Watkins was right about certain things.
Yeah.
One of them being, if you guys remember, months ago, I had made a comment. Oh, SmackDown being 3 hours, that's gonna suck.
No, I definitely
Anyways,
agree.
so let's so with that being said, let's dive into this SmackDown because there's a few things to talk about, a few things we might be seeing drop this walk coming in shortly. So Vash, hopefully you bring up the positive energy after all of that. Chat, let us know everything that you feel about everything going on. Who knows? Maybe we will hear Sydney bitch and moan about Charlotte later on. Who knows? We'll find out.
Maybe
But we're
possible.
gonna. It's totally possible. We'll see. But we're gonna start with our WWE title picture, where
Oh
right now
boy.
we don't really know who Cody's gonna be facing,
Oh,
like at Elimination Chamber or even at WrestleMania. But you know what? He's still involved in certain aspects of the show. One of them being the fact that Jey Uso again won the Royal Rumble, which is cool, neat, awesome. He's looking at his options, seeing who he can face at WrestleMania, and he starts the night off tonight. And I want to at least point this out, and I wanted to make it a point, especially on Twitter too, because that's where the cesspool of people who like to complain and be all negative and all that like to hang out. But I at least wanted to point out this because at the beginning of the show, Jay's getting the crowd hyped up, getting everybody ready for the show and all that. But like, and I think he did this on Monday too. But as he was coming down, he had a kid come out, to the steps as he was going down, and he had the kid help him yeet with the crowd and all that. And like that's what all of this is about. That's basically what WWE is doing. It's making memories. It's making these special moments for these people, mainly these children, these kids that like go to these shows, these kids that like get to make these memories and all that. And truly and honestly, that's what WWE is all about. It's making those memories, and that's what truly makes the moments that we remember. So like we can complain all day about like, oh, Jay won the Royal Rumble. Oh, AEW is better than WWE. Oh, and we're just yeeting everywhere. He's just a yeet machine. Like,
It sounds
I get it.
it sounds like
Yeah,
you're talking about tribalism. Interesting, interesting.
there's a bit of tribalism and all that, but it's just
But
like I get it. I get the criticism with it, but like at the end of the day, you just gotta look at everything in the big picture and just like it's fun. People are having fun, and especially with like Vash mentioned the encore and all that. Like that's just fun for the live crowd. And like when you go to a live show, you're there to have fun. You spent your money to go there. You should be there to enjoy everything and just have fun.
and plus, just saying, chat. Look, if you're watching at home, you can fucking stand up and dance. You can literally do what Michael Cole does. Try to join in. Even if he knows he's being awkward and being bad at it, he's having fun. Even with Pat McAfee, he's giggling and just enjoying himself. And it just shows very authentic in that opportunity. Like if I was there, if my kids got to tell me that and they had the most best moment of their life for the next 5 years, they tell me one of the best moments is just yeeting
Yeah.
with the crowd. I've gone to those venues, I've gone to those experiences, and just to be there, just to enjoy, just to sing. Like, well, for example, I've gone with my brother. I'll be in the crowd joining, and my brother, that's not his thing, but that's okay because I'm here to have fun and enjoy the energy that the crowd, the people here,
Mhm.
just are here to have fun. So Jay is over, and to expect the encore, like you said, Walker, I didn't expect that, and I loved it. Like, did I need another encore? No, but I took the time to hear that. Went to the bathroom, came back, and it was still there, and the crowd's
Yeah.
enjoying it, and that's what matters, because the crowd is what's speaking first to the is right there, the superstars. That's what they get first as their energy.
Exactly. So again, Jay starts off our night, getting the crowd pumped, getting them yeeted, getting an encore of a yeet. Great, awesome, fantastic. But he's there to be on business. He's there to call out Cody, kind of size him up a little bit, see if like he wants to go after Cody. And they had a bit of a back and forth, kind of referencing their humble beginnings from when they won the tag titles and all that together, and how Yeet did get started with the two. But Drop, I want to start with you. How did you feel about like this promo segment between the two, and like does this kind of give you a little bit of anticipation for a possible Jay versus Cody program going into Mania?
I mean, one of the things that I do like is the fact that they have both options available. So it's not
Mm,
like you're heading into something thinking that it's going to be that one person. So I do like how it's one of those things where it's like you can watch both shows, you can make a good argument of what direction it can go down. Because past years they made it pretty apparent of whoever won the Rumble, we already knew who they were going to go after, which is fine if there's like a story
mhm,
behind it, like we saw the whole thing with Cody. Because with the whole thing with Cody, I mean, it made sense for him to go to Roman because they had unfinished business. And even Jay alluded that tonight. He's like, I can go towards you, or I can go towards Gunther because we have unfit finished business too. So it's like I can
mhm.
appreciate that they have that sort of thing where it's like, okay, we can go this direction or that direction. That's something I can really appreciate of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I know I said it during our Rumble coverage, but like just the thought of Cody and Jay at Mania,
Yeah.
that story
Yeah.
just has my like already my mouth is starting to water. Like, and I am not bullshitting you, everybody. Like, I'm starting to salivate at the idea of that story, just being able to like talk about that story, the deepness of that story, and all that. But
Hmm.
Vash, I'm gonna bring it off to you. How'd you feel about like just this promo segment between the two? Does it kind of tantalize your flavor for wanting this match at Mania?
I believe you tweeted it from, I believe, the brand account, or I believe you said it in some platform. It was the camera shot of Jay and Cody with the WrestleMania logo in the background. That shot was beautiful.
Mhm.
Like, that's a poster that if I had a house, imagine, I would literally put it on the wall. Like that poster, just having Jay and Cody going for the title. Even the line, my line that's well, like just when Jay said it, he said, "I could verse you, or I could stand up right beside you. You as a WWE champion after defending your title, and me winning the world heavyweight title,
Yeah.
and you me just standing by side." When I heard that, I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I actually kind of want that more. Just seeing both the baby faces that like are so over, the merch, the
Mhm.
fans, everyone love him, and just to see even Cody referencing is a "Do you feel me?" Like, even
Yeah.
acknowledging that from the press conference of how the fans
Yeah.
even still quote that to this day. I still watch that
Mhm.
clip. If it's on my timeline, I watch it. I'm like, shit, I've seen this like maybe
Oh
a
yeah.
good 100 times at least or less. About to. So it just shows that Cody was enjoying this moment, and Cody must have been happy just to see Jay win. even just to be standing on the top of the ring, I bet you in the back he was just happy to say like, damn, this man got another encore. I never get another encore for my song. So it's just to see that, like, I bet you he's so proud of him. And I love even when Cody referencing the, like, I lost my opportunity last year and I had to fight it again. But now look at this. You got it and now
Yeah.
you got the golden ticket. Like, just to see that,
I
like, that's fucking beautiful. Like, that hits. John,
yeah.
talk to me.
No, I do have a comment on that because I feel like when it comes to Cody's story, it's a little bit different because a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
recognized him throughout the community because he was a really big push when it comes to the industry as a whole. He's one of the main reasons why AEW became a thing because he wanted there to be an alternative. He wanted to really bring wrestling back to where it was. And that's how AEW was really looked at for the longest time with the kind of production that they were having. So when Cody
Yeah.
returned to WWE, there's already a lot of people behind him, but obviously the story involved a lot more people got invested in him. And yes, he did he did organically get over, which is the best thing to really do in the company. But the reason why I said it's a little bit different is because when it comes to Jay, we see a lot of guys like Jay come out of nowhere sometimes, and WWE doesn't normally strike. And this was an ongoing issue that I had with WWE and like years ago. Even when I was a little kid watching the product, there was a lot of people going over. I'll bring up Zack Ryder, for example. He's known as Matt Cardona. He was insanely over. Sure, he got that opportunity at that WrestleMania that one time, but it's like they could have done a lot more with him. They could have potentially even put him in this position that Jay's in right now. There's just a lot of guys that walk in there. Bring another one up. Rusev Day got over. They didn't really take the opportunity to really capitalize on that. And that's the thing I like here. Because even with the whole Daniel Bryan situation, they kind of like, they gave Danielson his moment, but they did it in like a little bit of reverse because I still remember that Royal Rumble. Batista won it. People didn't like it. Bryan was supposed to be in the Rumble. He never did. Then they saw how the fans was rejecting what they were doing, and that's why they put him to be in that position. And then, of course, if you follow Kofi Mania, similar situation. They had to bring him down that path to get him to where it was. I'm pretty sure Watkins remembers, and I still remember it till this day. There was a tag team gauntlet match, and Xavier and Kingston, not Xavier and Big E had to go up against several tag teams in order for Kofi to get that moment with Bryan at WrestleMania. And they went through a fuckload of teams. It wasn't just two teams. They were going back and forth. And then I still remember that one moment with the Usos where like, you know what, I want Kofi to go to Mania. They just walk out, and then Kofi came out and they ran together. So pretty much what I'm trying to get here is that they gave Bryan and Kofi those moments. And this is another situation. I'm not the only person who's brought that up. There's other people on other platforms that's brought this up, where I feel like this time they're doing it right, where they have Jay win the Royal Rumble. He's over. He's earned it. I even discussed it with several friends. A lot of us are in agreement that he deserves it. And then there's the people online that are bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
CM Punk, where they're just upset because their favorite didn't win. But sometimes you got to focus at where the money is. Jay's the money. They want to make money with him. He's moving tickets. He's getting a lot of merch. So I like how they're doing this whole thing with Jay. They have him win the Rumble. They tell a compelling story leading into Mania, and he wins the big one because that's the biggest match of his career. Whatever happens beyond that point can make him into something that he probably didn't expect himself to be outside of where he was before. Like, even us talking about it now, it could be on this different stratosphere. And if after that moment, after Mania, it's crazy how quickly it happened. So I applaud what we saw here. The encore was deserved on Monday, just like Friday. And I really like that moment between him and Jay. And I honestly, personally want, what Vash said, both of them holding a title at Mania, celebrating. Possibly even have his brother get a moment too. Like maybe do like a modern Eddie Guerrero and Benoit moment where you close out a show, where you either have him and Cody or him and his brother celebrating with the titles. That would be great. A very good moment.
Yeah, and I think that's my thing. Like, that's the beauty of what we have right now with this year's WrestleMania is like we could literally go in any direction, and I would be pleasantly pleased with it. I mean, again, I know I had my issues with like him and Gunther and all that, but like they were kind of satiated a little bit on Monday
Hmm?
with that promo from Gunther, where it's just like,
Yeah.
"I will make your life a living hell." It's just tonight. I feel like they did a lot more of a build for him and Cody to face off at Mania than they did with Gunther. Because, like, again, there is unfinished business with Gunther. I get that. I got that. But, like, you could probably squash that if Gunther, like, when he eventually loses that world title and Jay still has the WWE title, you could probably squash it, with Gunther trying to chase Jay then, because then, like, the roles are a little reversed, and then Jay can finally just topple Gunther and be done with him. But, I mean, that's a story for another day and all that. But again, it's the beauty of what we have right now with WrestleMania. Anything can go in any direction, and I think we'll be relatively pleased as long as the story and the writing and the booking, of course, makes sense to us.
Yep.
But speaking of things that make sense and booking and all that, out come Jacob Fatu and Tamatanga to kind of, throw little ruffles into the feathers of Jay and Cody. And I mean, the whole crux of this is just Jacob being like, Cody, ever since you stole that title from the family, our lives have been living hell.
Yep.
And Jay, I'm pissed that it's like that you are the one that might get us back. Like, you shouldn't be the one. Like, I'm surprised he didn't mention Solo Sikoa, which we'll get to that part here in a little bit.
Yeah,
But
somebody came
basically,
randomly.
oh yeah, well, somebody just came last minute and all that. So cool, neat, awesome. Never mind. I was gonna make a sex joke about that, but this is a
Oh,
PG show, even though we've dropped f bombs before.
yeah, that's
Anyways,
fine.
brawl ensues. Tag team match gets called. Playa, holla holla, and yeah, we get Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga taking on Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. But another thing I do want to point out before we get into the match, just kind of again, we're planting seeds for the possible Jay and Cody thing, because backstage we had the Miz, and I mean he kind of finishes his thing with Andrade, I think, with him being like, "Oh yeah, kid, you're great, you're gonna go places." Just like, dude, isn't Andrade like almost the same age as you? But that's neither here nor there with that. Um, Miz basically tries to prod Cody a little bit because he's like, "Hey, I can help protect you. I can have your back. I'm a good guy." And
Uh,
then Cody kind of just brushes him off, but like Miz is just like, it is time for Jay's story. Like, kind of like digging at Cody, being like, "Okay, you know
yeah.
what? Your story's over. Your story was last year. This is Jay's story now." And like, we kind of see a little bit of not necessarily worry and not
But
like
like questioning,
frustration.
or
Yeah,
doubting yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
hmm And it's like, okay, these are the chinks in the armor that I was kind of waiting for with this whole thing with like Jay winning the Rumble and all that. Because like we even saw it even before the match when Cody went up to Jay and was just like, "Hey man, you know, have you made a decision?" Jay's just still like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oos. I don't, I have many avenues I can go down and all that." But like, again, I just like how we're actually trying to again plant more seeds and push a story and all that. Like, see, this is exactly what I wanted if we're gonna get a Jay Cody feud with all this. Um, but I just wanted to quickly mention that before moving on to the
So,
match itself.
if I may
Yeah,
add about the mist stuff,
of
there's one
course.
thing that I like he spoke about instigating because it reminded me of the old character, like always trying to pro on people, like, hey, trying to stop problems or trying to get them to retaliate or get into the
hmm
ring. It kind of reminded me a bit of Karrion Cross of what he's been doing lately. So I love how the Miz is kind of going back to his old ways because of Karrion Cross, of him instigating and putting that into what he's been doing with R-Truth before and everything. So now we got Cody questioning and even wondering what Jay is choosing. And I like how he is giving us reasons that are valid. And that's what the most important part is of the story. And then he say, "Hey, I would also like to be Gunter to redeem myself, to be, like it's like, for example, Jay is David and Gunther is Goliath. Like, he's lost 2 rounds already, 3 times against Gunther. Can he actually beat it after the fourth time and the last time and at the biggest event in the pro wrestling world? Can he? So like, I like how he's doing that with Jay himself, explaining the
Mhm.
reasoning of the booking aspect of why, if he does choose Gunther, he explain it, and then if he chooses
Yeah.
Cody, he explains that. So I felt very genuine in that aspect. And when it comes to Solo, can we supposed to bring that up because I
Mhm.
really am curious to see now more questions, more avenues to the road to WrestleMania more than ever. Because now it's like,
Mhm.
how does he part of this, and how is Jacob gonna feel? Because during the promo of Jacob, for him to even tell Jay, by the way, the promo, like the energy, the aura. I love how the promo first started with Tamatanga, even just him, the audience like shit, 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 just going around it. It felt like they knew how to get the energy of the crowd and then
Mhm.
transition into Jacob Fatu, and he did it so good. Even though I was mad, like, damn, why you gotta put Jay like that? Like, saying that, why did it have to be him to get the title? So I just
Yeah.
felt the energy. It felt really good, and I was really impressed by all of them.
Yeah, yeah, I was too, and all that with their promo work tonight and all
Mm.
everything. But we got to talk about this match and the booking with the match because this is the second week in a row that we've gotten Tamatanga and Jacob Fatu in a tag team match in the main event. Okay,
Mm.
cool for them to get a SmackDown main event and all that. But this is also the second time, yeah, the second time in a row, if I remember correctly, that they've also lost a tag team match in the main event
Yeah,
with
that's
Tamatanga
Yeah.
eating the
2 times in a
pin.
row.
So it's just like it's getting a little samey for me, especially after like a 3-hour SmackDown. And that's the thing, people. We're gonna be honest on this show, and it's just I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that, and especially with Jacob Fatu, who's about to go into a triple threat next week against Damian Priest and Braun Strowman. First of all, that match is gonna be a bunch of meaty men bumping meat, but like that
I
doesn't
can't,
look
I
good
can't wait for us to talk
for
about that promo later. Oh my god, oh, that's insane.
that. This just doesn't help with his forward momentum going into next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't give a good strong like with Jacob
Mm,
Fatu losing. He did lose, but he didn't get pinned, so it's not too stressful because he has won the other 2 times against Braun Strowman. But when it comes to Tomatonga, it's like, if you're gonna be a strong dominant, he needs to take a win next week to feel like it's not on a losing streak, because he
And
like
mm,
it just feels undervalued.
so, like, first off, like, just say a few things about the Miz thing. That was
yeah.
definitely a carry and cross thing. I feel like that was the whole point of
Oh
their
yeah.
whole entire partnership. And also talking about the match itself. I mean, yeah, like, you can only do tag matches for so long until they get like really
Hmm.
repetitive. And again, like, there really isn't anything special about the match itself. Like, sure, you get Jay, Cody, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga in there. That's nice. It's nice to see them get television because they
Yeah.
deserve to be on television. But the thing I was personally expecting when we were opening up the show, really, I was honestly expecting us to get focused on just Cody and Jacob Fatu. That's what I personally wanted because when I saw Jacob Fatu come out to confront Cody, I'm like, okay, I can get on board with this because we're trying to carve the path for Jacob Fatu. A lot of people know he's going to be a pretty big thing in the company. That's why they're giving him
Yeah.
this special presentation right now. So I was sold on that. But then you see all the solo stuff happen afterwards, and then you get this is something that we brought up quite a bit like a couple months ago, where it was either Roman ending the show with the ones, or it was Jacob, or it was Solo ending on the show with the ones. It's just a really repetitive thing. Attacking Cody Rhodes for what? We don't need another
Yeah.
Solo and Cody match. If it was up to me personally, I would just have Jacob call out Solo for doing all this shit because
Yeah.
like Jacob said, the chain's loose. I'm able to do what I want now. Put your foot
Yep.
down, like I know he will. Well, which I know he is the kind of person to do that kind of shit. and just call Solo out on his shit, saying, why the fuck are you showing up, trying to steal the spotlight, trying to attack Cody Rhodes, trying to get a tag match, championship title match out of it, because obviously that's what's clicking through his head. Like, you got to have Jacob call him out for this shit, because, again, he even laid it out for them to begin with. Once I lose this thing, you got to acknowledge Roman. So you got to get loose of, like, the weakest link. I mean, this is why I feel like this is more than likely going to be Jacob's WrestleMania program. It's probably going to be Solo Sikoa, because we don't really know what else is going on beyond that. But that's what I personally want to see out of this. I don't want to see another program with Cody and Solo, because we've seen it and it's very repetitive at this point. And I'm just honestly hoping that we find some way to push Cody out of the bloodline stuff, because I thought it was done after the whole Roman thing. I don't know why we're venturing back to that. Like I said, I'm okay with the whole Jacob thing because it's new and it's actually like a whole thing, because the Bloodline 2.0 isn't a thing anymore. So this is pretty much like run out the red carpet to really push Jacob Fatu as a main event star. And like that thing I showed you earlier, I mapped out like the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT superstars of where they are when it comes to upper card, mid card, and then lower card. And Jacob Fatu factors into that. So it's like, keep going. You did Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes Elimination Chamber. I'd be completely okay with that. I have no issue with it. Just keep it focused on the next generation. Keep it focused on building this guy. I don't want to see this shit again. You got to figure out in your head. It's like you got to have like some sort of creative plan outside of Bloodline for Cody, because that's your champion at the end of the day. There's a lot of talent on SmackDown. I don't know why we're doing that.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. So
I would say it just. I'm sorry, Walker. I would just quickly add real quick is that if it starts to fall flat when you continue adding the bloodline, and even the quick line with Jacob Fatu when he said that the title has been missing from the family. Like, I love that line for the bloodline story, but then it just feels like this title is starting to become like a tribal chief title. Like, it's only going to the bloodline stuff. When like I'd rather also see like we're gonna see Drew McIntyre maybe versus Cody Rhodes feud. Like, I would love to see more AJ Styles and other superstars that are big that could go for the title, because we have seen this bloodline stuff that Cody has been with now for almost 2.5 years. Yeah. And the bloodline story is great. People have been going, it's been going on for 5 years. Great. But we also need other stuff, and hopefully we get that build up for the SmackDown for that fucking 3 hours, because hey, you're gonna release some people. We know the NXT people are gonna move up, so we're gonna get the opportunity. But it's just right now, it just falls flat with the bloodline stuff. So I agree 100% with Drop. It just I don't want to get sour taste in my mouth when it comes to the Judgment Day. How sometimes it gets like repetitive. Okay, we're kind of done with them. Like, we want the fan group of Judgment Day to break up them and move on. I don't want the same thing with the Bloodline stuff when it has broken up. The Bloodline 2.0 is done, but then we're still having them involved for the WWE title. We get it, they're over, but go for the US title first. Do something like that first, and then you come back in a couple more months once we get WWE. Or go with Jacob, but adding Solo again into the old twist, it just gets oversaturated. Like, fuck off in a way.
And it's like I get the mindset. Okay, so like I get the mindset of the bloodline. Like, okay, we need to be on top. How do we get on top? We need the WWE title. Great. Who gets the WWE title? It shouldn't be Jay. He's not part of the bloodline. Like, he went off on his own. He basically disowned the family pretty much, kind of. But it's like, I get that aspect of it, but at the same time, there's so much going on within the bloodline. Like, there's so much infighting. There's so much, people wanting to be the top guy, to be the one to get the title, that they need to start kind of focusing on that rather than going towards the title with all that. Because, like, just like what Drop said, it's like we've seen Cody and Solo before with the title. We've seen that program before. Do we need it again? I don't think we do going into Mania season. Now, Fatu going after Cody, I'm kind of 50-50 with, because I don't think Fatu should go for the title until after Mania, because that could at least lead to, the possibility of Jacob actually winning. Because I think Jacob right now, at least in the singles aspect, should continue a winning
Yeah.
streak
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
all that. But like, yeah, but I do understand that mindset though. It's just like, okay, that gives us something more tantalizing to get at,
Hmm.
because I agree. I would rather have Jacob and Cody rather than Solo and Cody. Um,
And if we do
so yeah,
get like another solo, I'd rather become like a stipulation. I wish for Cody be like,
mhm,
hey, we had this rodeo solo. I don't want to go at it again. So if you want to do something, I need something extra. Like I hope it's something like that's like another, you know, like a ladder match. We don't need that. I'm saying like maybe in last man standing. So maybe it could also help Solo stock to that
mm,
because he lost some stock since he's not Trouble Chief and a lot, him popularity fell off. So
Yeah.
we need to get him built up again. So maybe a last standing match will probably help him out as well.
Yeah. I honestly
yeah,
feel like the best decision, if I'm being perfectly honest with the both of you, is for Jacob to just put his foot down and just call it as it is.
oh yeah,
Tell him to get the back of the line. Pretty much just telling him to fuck off. That's
yeah,
honestly the best decision they could really do because obviously, seeing this on television tonight, it's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way because we don't really want to venture down that route since we've already saw it.
hmm,
So at least Jacob inserting some sort of dominance there, speaking up for himself, saying
yeah,
that, you had your time to shine, get to the back of the line because that thing that he said, a couple weeks ago where the chain's loose, that still clicks in my head where it's like you can't just
yeah.
have Solo come back and insert himself in there. So that's
Hmm.
what I'm hoping out of next week or possibly sometime this month he puts his foot down and says something.
Yeah, which
No,
I'm imagining is going to happen, but
Yeah.
we just gotta see it play out. We
Yeah.
gotta see Scopper Gabon show up with his many axes, putting down a whole force and all that. But
Hmm.
that's neither here nor there. But that's basically everything going on with the WWE title picture and all that. Again, we got to see who Jay decides on, whether he wants to finish his stuff with Gunther, go after Cody to, start that story and all that. I'm sure we'll find out here in the next coming weeks and all that. But we're going to move on now to our mid card stories. This is everything to do with the rest of the show and all that. So, whether they're mid cards, they're at least upper, lower, whatever have you. So, we're going to start with we had 3 elimination chamber qualifying matches tonight. We had 1 for the men and 2 for the ladies, and we got a bunch of things to say about the ladies, but we're going to start with the men first because this match itself had 2 good segments to it. So obviously we had a triple threat match between LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Jimmy Uso. Only one man can enter the elimination chamber, and we find out tonight that Drew McIntyre is now on SmackDown. He's officially on SmackDown now. So yay, congrats! He has a new playground to play with. Love to see that he's going to be on SmackDown and again has some fresh feuds going on. And even he said, "Hey, this is a brand new Drew McIntyre. Oh, you guys remember the Raw Drew McIntyre? Nah, that little bitch is gone now. This is brand new Drew McIntyre. I don't cry and moan in the middle of the ring, or do I? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out with that. But like." I love this segment for many, many, many reasons. The first with Jimmy coming out, because like I swear the past few weeks Jimmy has been getting much better, not only in the ring but on the mic as well. Like tonight, just calling Drew like sounding like an ex-girlfriend being mad at everything, with Drew clapping back being like, "Oh, sorry, Jay. Oh, I mean Jimmy." Like things like that, just like I eat it up so much. But a special shout out though to LA Knight for first of all, shouting out positively towards men's mental health, which yes, we do need to watch out for that. So, like he said, it is okay to cry. You are not
it's
a
okay to
bitch for
cry.
that.
It's okay.
However, don't cry as much as Drew McIntyre, because then you end up getting a nickname like Drew McIntyre, and you get the whole arena chanting that during the match. But yeah, I want to start with this beginning segment because I thought it was really good work from all 3 men. Vash, go ahead. Let me know what did you think of this segment.
I really love LA Knight how he's on the nose. When he said, "Oh, I forgot to do my thing. Everyone, L89. A lot of people could be assuming on the timeline that there could be the referencing of the spot. For those that don't know, that in the Royal Rumble, LA Knight had a little spot with Logan Paul, and Drew and Damian Priest had a moment, and Drew got eliminated, and it literally nobody spoke about it much and everything, and that spot probably got ruined. And it was pretty interesting how they referenced it in this segment. It wasn't too on the nose, but it was so subtle that it didn't feel too highlighted. So I really like that. Would you guys agree? Is that what y'all saw too, or what the timeline is saying as well?
I'm gonna transition over to the drop to answer that question.
So basically, like when it comes down to like this whole segment itself, I liked how each of them had some time to like really speak on on the mic, because it definitely feels like they were playing into the whole drama that happened over the weekend when it
Mm-hmm.
came to the whole Drew McIntyre situation. And I even talked about it with you like off air, where we were talking about it in our Discord server, where when I watched the footage, and obviously it could be different from us, but when I
Yeah.
watched the footage, it didn't really seem as serious as it came out to be when that report originally came out. Because when I saw it initially, I'm like, oh, I didn't really see what it was. I mean, it just, I mean, I could say that the elimination looked a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
I didn't see it as something like, oh my God, you know, he smacked me across the face, something along the lines of that. You can definitely tell that Jimmy and especially LA Knight were definitely playing into that situation, saying that Drew's acting like an ex girlfriend, which, I mean, that's something that an ex girlfriend
Kind
would
of.
complain about, just getting on your case about all of the things that she didn't like. I mean, Jimmy's not in the wrong with that. And then you have
Yeah.
LA Knight again. You know, I appreciate what he said about men's mental health,
Amen to
but
that.
also there's a thing in wrestling called a shoot, and I definitely felt like what LA Knight did in that segment was indeed a shoot. I don't feel like that
Yeah.
was something that he was reading outside of the show when they were going over their lines and everything, because they did say that, you know, a lot of them have a little freedom when it comes to certain things that they're allowed to say on television compared to how it was in the past. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel like that was him speaking with his frustration, because you noticed when he was saying all of those things, he glanced at Drew McIntyre in the ring, because over the weekend there like nobody knew who that person was, and then we found out that it was LA Knight. So you can tell
Yeah.
in a way that LA Knight was pissed off because of like all that shit that transpired. Because LA Knight's looking at it where it's like, we're just doing our job. I don't know what the fuck happened. So for him to, you know, have that sort of so for him to basically have one of those things where he's like getting a little frustrated in his system, I don't blame him for reacting that way, because I would have done the same thing. And I like how they're playing it off, trying to fit it into the whole world of WWE, because that's honestly the best thing you could really do, to have some heat in there. And I
Yeah.
actually bookmarked a clip because somebody said it actually looked like they were doing some legit hits on each other
Yep.
Yeah.
in the
That
ring.
little slap in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who was that again? Because I didn't rewatch the clip. Was it LA
I
Knight?
don't, I don't remember who it
Oh,
was.
okay.
I
Um,
don't know if I have it bookmarked either, but
Yeah.
I posted it on a Discord server on the thread of Friday
okay.
Night SmackDown. I
Okay.
already posted the
Yeah.
clip.
So
Um,
basically,
I believe it was fadeaway, and it looks legit. Like
Mhm.
the shoe, it could be legit because
I
like it was a
definitely
good
believe it
like
is.
8 seconds of them going to give it hands. It reminds me of I think the time when Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, I think when he hit him in the knee, and they just got that quick two uppercuts. It's like, damn, yep,
Yeah.
that shit felt real.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely did felt real. Which I mean, you can't really blame him for reacting that way. But I like how he was being a man and he was reacting the way he did. And honestly, if it was up to me, I know the
Mhm.
current plan is him and Priest, but I would just fucking book LA Knight and Drew McIntyre if you really want to capitalize on it, actually have it
Yeah.
feel real and kayfabe, then hey, fucking go for it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead and do it. But yeah, I mean, into the match though, like the match was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of double teams, especially against Drew McIntyre, because he's kind of the bigger guy, and you kind of see that a lot within WWE triple threat matches, where like the two smaller guys are gonna try to take out the big guy, blah blah blah. But like there were a lot of good spots. I know, like in our Discord server, Vash, you had pointed out just that the superplex, German suplex kind of spot that happened in the corner. That was, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like especially with like Drew's core strength being able to do that, in itself and all that.
It
But like,
it was pretty impressive. Like whenever
mhm,
this man does the flip kick to stand back up, and when he did that in the corner, I knew, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Drew is like he
mhm,
prints himself like this man is, I think, like 280 of pure muscle. Like he literally just does his work. He goes to the gym and does his thing, and just to see him do that, I was like, it's so impressive. Like okay, and for Jimmy
mhm.
also like doing the flip and everything, it was well done. I was really impressed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, again, Jimmy in ring has been just getting better and better and better, and
Yeah,
I just been more impressed with him. It's
look,
like, yeah, step up your game, dude.
fans could say as much as they want. Yes,
Hmm.
trust me, fans. Jay and Jimmy also knows their match last year was ass. They know it. Why do you think they've
They're
been
making
putting
up
the
for it.
work? Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. They've been putting the work for the past 6, 8 months. Do you really want the wrestlers to continue being bad? No. Their job is to get
Yeah.
better. It's to improve their stock. It's to improve their hockey. It's to improve their aura,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So when it comes to these things, Jimmy has been putting the work. He's been fast. Remember a couple weeks ago, we saw them do a couple move sets that we've been impressed. Like, oh shit, we haven't seen you guys do this before. Now you guys are. So it shows
Yeah.
that they've been practicing in their time off, in their gym, in the ring, and I'm glad. It really is enjoyable when I see them do that, and it's like as a fan. With Jimmy Uso,
Hmm.
he's coming in their own, and I'm glad Jay is on Raw, and Jimmy is still on SmackDown. They're still their own individuals. And I
Mhm.
know I saw a random tweet. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to it, but I know I saw a random tweet a couple days ago, and it said, "Imagine if WrestleMania, we get Jay Uso as the World Heavyweight title, and we get Jimmy Uso as the United States champion." As much as like cliche, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind it. It would be a cool moment. It actually
Hmm.
gets set up. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't mind that because that actually is a good callback to the whole Benoit and Eddie
Hmm.
Guerrero ending to
They could
WrestleMania.
replace that moment now.
Yeah, at WrestleMania 20, when we saw that happen, that would be a great callback
Yeah.
to that. And it would just also just give him a good feel moment because that's the thing about wrestling because we do see moments like that happen all the time
Yep.
and it makes sense because the whole story with Jimmy is to prove that he could actually make himself into a single star like Jay and actually
Hmm.
win championship gold. So I really wouldn't be against something like that happening at all because it definitely makes sense because that's sort of story that they're really going with Jimmy right now.
Yeah.
I'm not against that.
I'm here for it.
Plus, their father Rikishi would just probably die of
Oh yeah.
happiness.
Oh yes, I I bet you Michael Cole would tell us another story. Like, yeah,
Mm.
man, saw him in the hotel where he was, very emotional. He wasn't aware about this. Just seeing his
Yeah.
both his sons being as champions, it just bleeds him in his heart. He's crying and emotional. I'm sure,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, so the men, great, fine, awesome, fantastic. We find out, again, next week we're getting another triple threat match: Priest versus Fatu versus Strowman. There was a bit of a promo segment in the back with like Priest and Strowman, where like Strowman's just like, hey, kind of like a monster respecting a strong man, but basically being like, and also kind of respecting, Fatu
Fatu,
as well.
yeah, right,
Yeah, he
very
was just
well.
like, yeah, you have to deal with a beast and a monster next week, which, I mean, I'm assuming Priest is going to go over. Hopefully he pins Braun in that match, if that's the case,
It,
because,
Yeah, I would
if they
assume
give
so.
yeah.
Fatu the pin, it would be impressive. I'll be really impressed if they give Fatu
Mhm,
the pin. And for Damien to get that, I'll be very impressed about that. And I do agree on Watkins. The
yeah.
promo of, like, it felt like this. It felt like the the monster telling the strongman, like, "Hey, you're here,
Mhm,
and we're here. is the strongman and the werewolf. Like you have a beast,
Yeah.
you have a strongman, and you're below us. So I felt like he was trying to tell him like, hey, you don't want the smoke. Not saying that you won't get it, not saying that you might not win, but you are gonna be in a ring with a monster and a beast. You're not on the same level like it. So I really like that. So if Damian Priest goes over, I'll be very impressed about that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, again, our men's elimination chamber match is getting set up quite nicely, I think. And yeah, but on to the women's side here. Now, this might be where Drop This Walk makes an appearance again. So we're gonna start with this first match of Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven. I thought it was a good match. Uh, usually the story when it comes to Bianca versus Piper is always okay. Bianca trying to hit the KOD on Piper Niven.
I've
And
noticed that
it's
it's literally
yeah.
every single time.
Yep.
like
It's so
it's
obvious now.
literally like her trying to get it in early, and like it's always kind of the same setup too, where Piper is like on the second rope and all that, and then Bianca's able to get her on her shoulders, hit her with the KOD, and that's the match. So that's basically just the structure of this match is Bianca continuing trying to hit that, and I mean the match was fine. Bianca does go over, which she's now in the Elimination Chamber, and one of your tag team champions is in the chamber now. So we'll get into that little nugget here in just a second. But I do want to say I'm hoping that eventually we're going to be getting that Piper Niven push, because I thought again she's a really good talent. She's really good in the ring. I'm getting ready for that push, that eventual push of hers. But talk to me, guys, and talk to me too, chat. Let me know, how'd you guys feel about this match?
So when it comes to my thoughts on this match of Bianca and Piper Niven, I understand why they did the match, because we're trying to get some big names in this Elimination Chamber match. So I understand that whole structure behind it. And it was nice to see the story play out throughout the match, like you said, of Bianca trying to get the KOD on Piper. But my main issue with this is I feel like, and I understand why Bianca's in there, but it was a little bit different last year because she wasn't a tag team champion heading into Elimination Chamber. My whole issue with this, and keep in mind, decision's already made, she's heading to the chamber. I'm not trying to change it, but I personally feel like her and Naomi need to focus on those tag team titles, because now they just feel like props that they're wearing, and you're just inserting Bianca in the Elimination Chamber again just for star power. Like I said, I understand why they're doing that, but it just, again, goes back to the whole entire conversation that we spoke before on the channel when it comes to that title not really feeling like anything, where it's like, okay, we have them, but we're not really focusing on them. Because ever since they had that match of Jakar and Lash at NXT a few weeks ago, there hasn't really been any development. And I was sort of expecting that with Liv Morgan, because Liv Morgan got the win over Naomi that Monday, and then the following Friday, Naomi got a win over Liv. But to me, and even Liv mentioned it on Monday, where she's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're going to venture down that route of like getting that tag team title opportunity. So in my head, I'm like, okay, focus on that first. And then if you want to go back to the whole entire thing throughout February and add Bianca, if they do end up losing the titles, which I feel like this is the best decision at this point, because at least if you give it to Liv, at least she can go off and do something, because so we know that she's not in a title program. But it's like, you got to give some sort of love to those titles, as much as I don't really put too much stock in them because they haven't really been presented the best. But I just feel like it just takes other opportunities from other women, which obviously we'll discuss even further, but I'm going to let you guys jump into it, because I'm not against Bianca being in this match, so I don't want people taking it the wrong way. It just seems like the way that they're handling the whole entire situation with the ladies' elimination chamber, it's a bit wonky. Men's, perfectly fine. But it's like, The women's side of things, it's all over the place.
Yeah. So go ahead, Vash. How did you feel about the match? And I guess, the winner and, some of the stuff that Drop started bringing up about like our women's tag team title.
I hate it. And honestly, I'm not trying to be optimistic here because Chad, Drop said it perfectly. Watkins as well. Why do we have I was trying to pull up the mid card title. So we have like mid
Oh
card
boy, don't even
of
get
the
me started on
woman.
that.
Oh.
Like, why do we have where is it? The upper woman? We have Bianca up in the mid card, which makes sense. She has the tag team. She's right in the mid card, but we have other people that could go and be replacing her. We have Jordan Grace. We have like Zelina Vega that could TV time instead of being backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Bianca being there? I get it. She is good star power. That's the 100% the most obvious reason why she's there in that purpose in the match. And also, like Walker's brought up earlier, for the KOD. Makes sense. You want star power. You want money. You want the audience to love her. She's great. But put a fucking tag team match then. Put Naomi and Bianca in a tag team match. Put a qualified match or something. Or have a promo and then have a tag team qualifying matches for next week. We haven't got that. Right now, it's just them on the focus, and that's a bad thing when it comes to mixing in people that are a single competitors, but also being a tag team together. When Bianca wants the gold as a single competitor, but also being a tag team winner, is very off balance. And myself, not a fan. As a critic, not a fan at all either, because it makes logically no sense for the booking aspect.
Yeah.
Naomi should not be here. I'm sorry, Bianca should not be here, and even for the match next week for Naomi as well. She should
Oh,
not
yeah.
be competing. It makes no logical sense. We even have heel people that we have not seen in a while. Alba Fire, Asla Dawn. We have not seen her. Raquel has a match next week, and she might even be winning her match because of her also not being pushed
Yeah.
correctly. So it's like, how you blaming how you putting the same people
Yeah.
of Bianca if other people are not getting pushed as well. Makes logical no
Yeah.
sense. Like, we have
And,
Blair
like-
Davenport. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
just getting
well-
frustrated just the more we talk about
No,
it.
you're
Like,
fine.
you have Blair
You're fine.
Davenport that could have had his fucking TV time, and she's not even getting put in, but you decide to fucking
I
release her
even saw
because
clips
she
of her when
failed.
they did
It like
that Royal
makes no
Rumble
fucking
thing.
sense.
She was just sitting backstage.
Yeah.
Yo, we have Shotzi in the backstage of a picture that people start to zoom into, and Shotzi was there. She could have replaced to a person that was in the event, Sonya Deville, and they got released
Yeah.
5 days
Easily
later.
slotted Nia Jackson here too, instead of involving her with Tiffany again. Just throwing that out
Exactly. Like, you could have put Nia Jax in the Elimination Chamber. That's still star power. People don't like her, but people also like to rule against her. That is star power. So it makes logical no sense. Like, it just gets me frustrated.
Yeah. And like this kind of transitions to our second aspect of this match, or this, the competitors of this match, because like we get a little backstage segment later
Oh,
on
boy.
where like Chelsea's trying to help Piper cool off a little bit. In comes Zelina, BFAB, Machine. They all want the US title, and this is where we find out that next week Chelsea Green is going to face Naomi in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And this ties into what we've been talking about. The lack of focus for these titles. They basically feel like props at this point. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm one of the people, especially on this channel, especially on this podcast, that I do like Chelsea Green's work. I like her work with the US title because I do like having a different champion rather than like the usual fighting champion. Yeah, give me a chicken shit heel champion, give me some good character work with it. Yeah, that's fine. That's fun and all that. But obviously, we are still in the mission bowl of all that, which,
Again.
okay, fine, I guess. Just let's end that already. Like, have BFAB go for it, or hell, Zelina's right there. She wants a crack at it. But it's like, because we see this also now with Lyra, who's facing Bailey on Monday.
I hate it. I hate it.
An
I hate
Elimination
it. I
Chamber
hate it. I hate
qualifying
it.
match. It's like, and Lyra has barely been on TV since winning the women's
Sat in
IC
the
title.
crowd.
Like, you're not building anything for these mid-card women's titles. And you know what? Throw the counter up again. This is number 2 of Watkins was right. This was my biggest concern with having 2 women's mid-card titles.
Yep.
It's the fact that not only do we have so many titles on there, but now there's so little competition with them that you're throwing them in to these qualifying matches for a bigger title and making those titles feel bigger, when in actuality you need to be focusing on the mid-card titles. And guess what? There's only one women's mid-card title that's getting even remotely any focus, and that's the women's US title, because it's been almost a month since we've had the women's IC title be crowned, and again she hasn't done shit. She hasn't done shit except for like a couple interviews, and the first time we finally see her in an entrance with the title was during the Royal Rumble. So it's like, what are we doing? What's the focus here? Like, have something be played out. Like, we keep hearing like the rumors of like, oh, it's gonna be Lyra and Becky for the women's IC title thing. It's like, okay, great. Yeah, why do we care for it? And like, why should we care about Lyra being the champion right now when she's had no time to talk, no time to celebrate her win, and no time to build up anything before the possible Becky match? You know?
Yeah,
it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and this is where like my whole rant comes in, like the second part of it. Another issue that this creates is if you have Bayley and Naomi go over in this match, you're just hurting the credibility of Lyra and Chelsea Green, because by having those two go over in that match, you're making them look like weak champions, where it's like Lyra gets pinned by Bayley, Chelsea Green gets pinned by Naomi. You really want your mid-card titles to look like that? And not even that, but it's like going to the whole Lyra situation. You had her appear during the Royal Rumble. She was in there for a little bit. My main issue with that is that they had a moment within that match where Ivy Nile eliminated her, and they even alluded to a backstage segment with them on an episode of Raw. What they could have done that following Monday, they could have just focused on Lyra's first defense against Ivy Nile instead of inserting her into this whole entire thing with Bayley. And then the whole Chelsea Green situation, you could have had her focus on B-Fab and Zelina. The Meat Chin, we need to get away from that. She already had that last chance to get it. She even said it herself in a backstage segment. Get away from that. We don't need to do it anymore. But give other opportunities to the ladies on there that deserve a crack at it. Like a Zelina, like a B-Fab. B-Fab even got in her face. I'm not sure why that's not a focus, but get the mid-card, get the mid-card champions out of the whole entire title picture when it comes to like the Elimination Chamber, because you think about
it's two different titles.
You think about it in your head where it's like, why are they inserted in that match fighting for another title when they already have one of their own? And by them making that decision, going to that chamber, getting a shot against a Rhea or a Tiffany, even though we know Tiffany and Charlotte's going to be the thing, so the more likely it's going to be a whole Rhea who gets Rhea at Mania situation. You're making that title that you have on your shoulder look like shit, because it's like, oh, well, I have this one, but Rhea has the better one. So it's like, what's the whole entire thought process behind that? So it's like there's obvious things you could string away from when it comes to the whole Lyra and Chelsea Green situation. You just choose not to do it. And it doesn't really make sense how they structured it, because it's like the whole Bayley situation and the whole thing with Bayley. It's like, you know, she has an ongoing thing with Roxanne. How is that factoring in now? And I'm hoping it's not one of those things where it's like a lot of shenanigans played out. Oh, Bayley gets laid out, she can't participate. Oh, Roxanne gets laid out, she can't participate. Something along the lines of that. So then you see one of those things. It's like, all right, EO, get in there. I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But it's like, oh, get in there, we need you. It's like, why the fuck did you make that decision to begin with if you were going to go back to where you were before? So it doesn't really make sense at all in the slightest. And this is why I said, compared to the men's, the women's Elimination Chamber is like, it's so out of place that it makes no sense. So I'm not a big fan at all of how they're structuring this at all, because there's other people you could put in the match besides a Chelsea Green and a Lyra Valkyria and a Bianca and Naomi. I mean, fuck it, if it was up to me, Bianca and Naomi and Liv and Raquel wouldn't even be a part of this whole thing, because Roxanne has that match with Raquel. Just have them focus on each other and put other people in. Maybe do a little call-ups, because you did bring that up with the whole transfer window. Bring a couple of call-ups. You could have possibly thrown them in there. And now getting into the thing that I'm pissed about the most is the whole entire Io Sky situation. Because now it's making me think you should have had her win the Intercontinental Championship at this point.
Yeah.
Because now it seems like she has no fucking direction heading into WrestleMania. And this is why I mentioned before, they better not do one of these fucking things where one of them gets laid out and then she gets thrown in there. Because that just makes you look like a complete fucking idiot, where you're just tugging on the heartstrings of people. Because it's like, she's a great talent. She deserves to be on the big stage doing something important. Not getting bullied by Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler backstage, and she's all by herself. And then someone comes back and they have a tag team match at WrestleMania. You really gonna put Io Sky, out of all people, who is the second over babyface outside of Rhea Ripley, on Monday Night Raw in a fucking program like that? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, Io Sky should not be in that position at all. And it just bugs me, because it's like, imagine like Asuka getting treated like this. Like all those years ago, like that incredible run she was on. Imagine that Asuka here right now. Let's say we took that Asuka, put her in 2025. Imagine that Asuka getting put down to that level. It just seems a little disrespectful. It almost seems like you see other people of them, which I get, but it's like, you gotta start. I get it. Oh, we want to do the money matches and shit. Yes, we want to see Bianca and Rhea. Of course, that's a big match. Play it out. Have a bigger story. A fucking month and a half to play out a story between Bianca and Rhea? Are you fucking kidding me? That's not something you play out in a month and a half. You haven't even alluded to it, which is why there's some hope in me still, that I'm hoping that they do something with Io, because it just seems a little fishy to me that they played out that whole angle with Rhea and Io on Monday Night Raw, where Rhea like cost Io that match, and then Io got upset, and then they went back, but then they did another thing similar to the Jay and Cody thing, where they show the WrestleMania sign in the background. That's why I have a little copium there, where they possibly do something with that, because I swear to fucking God, if I see Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley at the Elimination Chamber, I am going to be pissed. Because it doesn't make sense in the slightest to play off something like that. And Rhea recently defended her title, so it's Tiffany's turn to defend that title in the Chamber. Because you're going to get 2 Chamber matches. You should get Tiffany defending her title, because she hasn't done it for a bit. Well, I guess next week she is. But you also have Trish Stratus coming back soon. She says she's not done. You can easily do something with that, because it's in her hometown. And then obviously, at least from my perspective, you're going to get the KO and Sammy match there, because it's in their home turf. So I don't see Triple H going super crazy, throwing 6 matches on that card. But it's like, what the fuck are you doing if Io Sky? That's what's pissing me off, because it's kind of like she's playing second fiddle to all these things. It's like, there's a simple road in front of you that you could easily go down. Why not go down that road? You say that you're a long gamer and you like playing things out. There's a story right there. Why aren't you doing something with it? And again, the whole Jade situation. Got focus on that.
She hasn't been mentioned at all lately. No. Like barely at all. It's just like, what? I believe how are we building to that story itself?
Exactly. I believe Girl posted it for the first time, I think, a couple of days ago. And like, oh wow, she's on vacation, do her thing. But it's just like, okay, cool. We know you're good now. We know you healed up from your car accident. When are you coming back now? Because now people questioning like the whole kayfabe. Like, hey, you posted means that you're eventually gonna come back soon. And Drop, I love the energy you're spending, because it's 100% right. Like that's why when it comes to qualifying matches, I'm not excited for. Even like the next one, the Alexa Bliss versus Candice LeRae, I have that one. I have more positive things to say about and more questionable things to ask you guys, since you guys more aware of the Alexa Bliss lore. But when it comes to this, it's just it makes me not excited for the booking. It makes me more disappointed on the Triple H. And I'm usually known as optimistic Vash, but this is more piss off Vash because it makes no fucking
Yeah.
sense that like right here again. I'm staring at the low card. We have BFAB, we have Katana Chance, we have Kaden Carter, we have Maxine Dupree, Electra Lopez, Avinal, Scarlett, we have Zoe Stark, Shayna Raquel, we have Natalia. We could recycle
Oh,
these people within feuds
yeah.
for the mid
Mhm.
card. That's 8, 10 people I just mentioned for mid card that could
Mhm.
work. But then you don't have actual potential when it comes to Chelsea Green for mid card, and you
Mm.
have the same thing for Mitchell once more. It's like, hey, you can still have her as a long term feud. Take a break. She did her thing. Now come back
Yeah.
for her again in the next three
Yeah.
months if it comes to somebody else. But it
Mhm.
needs to feel elevated, and I don't want these mid card titles to feel like props like they've been.
Exactly.
Right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's all.
Another thing I gotta throw in here that I just saw that pissed me off even more that I didn't see on Monday. You guys might have seen this, but after that whole shabackle that happened with Rhea and Io on Monday, you had
Uh huh.
Io cut a little thing backstage where she's like, "Rhea, try to help me. I know that," and she's like, "But my chance to fight in WrestleMania, reading as it is over." And you
Mhm.
see her like
Yeah.
upset backstage. I guess it's gone. It's just unbelievable. I don't know what to do right now. Like she seems completely lost. And I
Yeah.
obviously know she's playing that into a story, but it makes me feel bad.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
plus, I will
And I
add
mean
that
that's
to have a face card of Io versus Rhea Ripley, people need to understand if the story makes sense. She already hurt Io that she took the opportunity to go to the Elimination Chamber. She still wants the title. And we could have Io as a tweener as well. There's nothing wrong with having Tiffany Stratton and somebody else as a tweener. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong for that aspect.
Yeah.
We only have two top heels, which is Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. We don't need to have 3 or 5, but we could have
Yep.
Io Sky that could still befriend this somebody and then be somebody who does like you.
Exactly.
We had that relationship for many years. Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they had that where they always were friends, but then they went for the same title because they wanted to be the two top guys. They
Exactly.
went back and forth.
Mhm.
Io Sky and Rhea could have the relationship where they still respect each other throughout the times where they were in NXT, now for the main roster. It's fucking possible. Whew!
I'm glad you
Sorry
brought
guys,
that
it
up.
just feels to
I'm
let all
glad you
this energy
brought that
go.
up. I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
because it's like it's right in front of your face, but you fucking head south for no fucking reason. Easy
Yeah.
story to play it out. You cost me my opportunity. Play it out. The
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Like that's just the bottom line. It's just like
Yeah.
there's so many women on your roster. There's so
Yep.
many different avenues. There's so many ways to just fix the problem that you're just not doing it.
Yeah.
Like especially with the tag titles. Like I know you brought it up earlier, Drop, but it's just like
Mm.
you could have easily had Bianca and Naomi drop it. Hell, you could still do that since you still have the Liv and Raquel thing possibly playing out with it. Like you could still have them drop it before Chamber, and I mean it won't automatically fix it because that's just like putting a band-aid on it for the time being, but it's just like there's so many more things you could do. You have such a deep roster, just even
Ooh.
on the main roster itself. Like you could be doing more with what you have, and it's just so surprising when it comes to Triple H because we've seen, especially you and me, Drop, we've seen his NXT booking, we've seen what he can do with the talent
Yep.
that he has and the talent that he can utilize. We know this, and that's why you're seeing us get like this. It's like we know that things can be so much better. It's just like something's going on where it's just like we're not getting that. There's some sort of disconnect between the booking and just the tools that they have. They're just underutilizing all the tools that they have.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to,
No, that's
continue
fine.
going around in
You did a
circles
pretty
with
good
it and all
job.
that,
You did a
because
pretty good job.
yeah, exactly. I think we laid the groundwork of just how we feel as a group about everything going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we just want better, and hopefully we do get better. But speaking about getting better, let's transition to our next Elimination Chamber qualifying match
Hmm.
for the women. We had Alexa Bliss taking on Candice LeRae. Now, I thought the match was fine. There was some obvious ring rust from Alexa, which again they were saying on commentary. How I do like how Wade Barrett on commentary was saying, yeah, even just after 2 months, there could be a bit of ring rust. So I appreciate him and Joe Tessitore putting that over because yeah, there is going to be obvious ring rust, which I could kind of see with Alexa, like there were some slow kickouts. There was some like trying to make sure she was sturdy on the ropes. I think her facing Candice LeRae as her first, singles match back on the main roster was a good choice because I think Candice is a safe person in the ring. She's good with making people look good and all that, and she plays a really good heel. Like I think this was during the commercial break, but Candace took Lily, like the new Lily doll that she has, threw it on the ground and stomped it in front of Alexa. And I mean, it got to a point where Alexa started kind of entering that Harley Quinn mode I'm going to use whenever she gets in this angry mode. Um, and yeah, she ends up winning the match with. I like the spot that they did before the finish, where it's like, oh, they kind of roll around with the cradles and all that.
Oh my
And
god, the
then,
cradle was amazing. Great spot.
Mhm,
It was very well balanced.
yeah.
It felt like a child play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which kind of plays into like Alexa's kind of thing and all that. Which one of the few female shirts I have, female superstar shirts I have, mind you. But yeah, ends with an Abigail DDT, which I didn't know that's
Hmm.
what they called her finisher. So they must have changed the name, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention at the time. But yeah, there was one interesting thing in the match, but before we get into that little interesting little nugget of information, tell me how you guys felt about just the match and like
Um,
Alexa's return to the ring.
Drop, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go first because I have shorter thoughts as
No, that's
somebody
fine.
who hasn't seen much of the Alexa
Go
Bliss
ahead.
career. As somebody who was still excited to see her return in the Royal Rumble, it was pretty great. I appreciate for everyone that watched with us, and I appreciate for everyone that watched the VOD. It had like 50 something plus views, so I appreciate for everyone that's tuned in to check out the VOD. But one thing I would say, Alexa Bliss, the rustiness is showed many times. Many times, it felt like there's a few times the kick or the knee did not really connect. But I appreciate Candice LeRae still played the effect. There's one that
Hmm.
was so obvious. I don't know if you caught it as well, Watkins. It was her in the top rope. It was Alexa Bliss on top rope, and she gave a knee to Candice, and it did not
Oh
connect
yeah,
at all until Candice
yeah.
LeRae just still flip away. I'm like, I could rewind that shit, but I'm good. I know what I
Mhm.
saw, and I know what I see, and I know what I definitely saw did not happen at all. And but
Yeah.
it was still entertaining to watch. But I appreciate what you just mentioned. Wade Bear brought it up, saying that hey, ring rust, even after 2 months, even a short time,
Yeah.
she just returned. But what I love is that the crowd still was behind her to support it. She was still giving good showmanship. She was still going around, giving the energy. And
Hmm.
I see what you meant. The Harley Quinn vibe, I get it.
Yeah.
For anybody that
I mean,
has seen
that's
the
that's
movie,
the best way I could describe it. I
yeah,
mean,
like the way
yeah.
I saw it, if for anybody that's seen it, the Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad with behind James Gunn when she had the
Hmm.
the flower acid trip type of scene where she
Oh yeah.
killed like a lot of people. So that's what reminded me of Harley
Hmm.
Quinn and her character of Alexa Bliss just going around screaming and giving like it felt like clothesline, right? Like, it felt like she gave a few clothesline, just to knock down Candice LeRae.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were more like shoulder blocks.
Yeah, shoulder
Like, are you
blocks.
talking about when like she basically went into crazy mode near the
Yeah,
end of the match? Yeah, yeah, it was like a bunch of shoulder blocks and all that she was doing.
and it
But
felt like a good balance with Candice LeRae being like the right opponent. It felt like to kind of
mhm,
get her back in the
yeah,
ring. It kind of felt like Candice LeRae is the SmackDown version of Natalia. Like you have her be in the ring and Raw and still get you in the training wheels, and that's what it felt like with Alexa Bliss. So good match overall. I was entertained,
Yeah.
but her character, I'm still, learning from it since I never saw it. I've seen clips
Mhm.
throughout the years, but I've spoken enough. Drop, you have returned. So now
Yeah.
drop us some knowledge and tell us what you thought about this.
So when it comes to this match itself, I'm glad that Alexa's back because that's another name to add to the division that you could easily insert in the mid card or main event scene.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that she's there to play that part. I'm glad that she's there to be a part of the Elimination Chamber. And I'm very happy to see her in the rhythm again. And keep in mind, it'll probably take her a little bit because she hasn't been in the ring outside of that
Yeah.
Royal Rumble match. Usually, when you're in the Royal Rumble match, you could really hide that sort of thing because you're going after different people at once and you don't really need to put on like this overly complicated match where you're solely focused on one person. So it was nice to see her. It was nice to see her bring out Lily again. Obviously, that's going to make a lot of money for them. And I just thought it was nice to see her. I mean, the main part of this, and that's why I put her in the title, it's her return to the TV. So it's not like
Mhm.
it's going to be these one offs that we see for her every so often. Like she's here on SmackDown television. She has
Yeah.
stories that she could get inserted with. But I'm just really glad to see her. Nothing beyond.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of a promo from her, but I think
Yeah.
maybe in the next coming weeks we can get a little bit more
Yeah,
in
that's
that.
fine.
And especially with the little nugget we got in the match, because there were some not some Netflix glitches like me and Vash witnessed on Monday.
Yeah.
There are some Wyatt glitches in
Oh
this,
yeah.
so I guess we are going to be getting her involved with the Wyatts, whether
Yeah.
that's teaming up with them,
He
or
has returned
it
home.
could be that, or it could be, maybe Nikki Cross versus Alexa. Maybe we could be doing a story there where it's like, oh well, you abandoned me, like kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Could it be a match between the two, or could it be a team up?
I don't
I
have much comments on mine. I'm gonna just say I'm
Okay.
either good for either or.
Yeah.
sorry, I just saw something online. I had a bookmark because
Oh no, you're
someone's
good.
getting
You are
clowned that
perfectly
I
fine.
someone's getting clowned online by
Oh
I'll
goody.
mention it
You
off
gotta love
air.
to see it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. And again, you like I said earlier, you can insert her in the mid card division or like the
Hmm.
US title on there. You can insert her with the main title program. You could even put her tag team division or her and Nikki Cross if they sort things out when they do something with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be against that at all. I like how she has these
Mhm.
different options where she can be inserted in different places because it's not like she's being lumped with a random person. Her and Nikki have a lot of history for one another. So at least Nikki
Yeah.
will be utilized on television whenever they get the whole gang back together. But also it would be nice to see her as like a singles act because I feel like she can definitely do that very well.
Yeah. And that's what's so good about that. That's what's just so good about Alexa as a character is she's very versatile with wherever she goes. Like she can fit in very nicely. Like I think I had made a comment. I forgot when. Oh, it was when like during the whole Corey Graves thing with him on commentary. Like having that player that you could put anywhere on your show or in your company and all that. Alexa kind of plays that role very well in the women's division. Like you
If
said, she could be put in the tag division, mid card, main event picture. She fits in wherever you put her.
if I may say, Corey Graves should return to Friday Night SmackDown because I think another reason why I was in and out of my paying attention, I'm starting to understand a bit more towards what you're talking about Joe. His passionate is starting to not be as consistent. It feels very flat, and I feel like Corey Graves will balance that more if he was there with Wade Barrett and Joe, because it was only Joe and Wade Barrett. It feels very inconsistent on my end, because probably that's why I was in and out of paying
Hmm.
attention.
Well, guess what? We're gonna chalk another one under the Watkins was right column.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the
Got a
ego's getting
strike.
fed tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So you know
Got a,
what?
got a strike.
Let
We'll
us
talk
know in
about
the
Eagles.
chat. Talking talking about egos, all right. Because there was a nice little segment before this Alexa Bliss and Candice LeRae match. We had Charlotte Flair appearing finally back on Friday Night SmackDown. She's looking to make history, even more history than becoming a 2-time Women's Royal Rumble winner, even more history than becoming a 15-time Women's Champion. She's gonna embrace the booze. She's gonna love the love and all that stuff. But you know what? She's got to look for some inspiration. She felt like she didn't get any inspiration from Rhea, which okay, fine, neat.
Yeah.
She didn't get any inspiration from Julia, which you sure
You
about
are
that, girl?
you
Are we
are
sure about that?
bonkers out of your mind. You just don't want to lose. And it
Which
looks like you're bad.
I do want to point out, I don't know if anybody mentioned it last night or not during Grappling with the Week, which you guys can check out every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Central Time. Nice little plug there. Julia's face when Charlotte came out kind of matched this other face that people were sharing on Twitter. That I just thought that was funny. But you didn't take inspiration from Julia? Really,
Yeah.
girl? All right, fine, whatever. But hey, maybe
You
it's
will in
Tiffy
the,
time.
You will in the future.
Oh yeah, when she gets her face kneed in.
Ooh.
But no, maybe it's Tiffy time, and out comes Tiffany Stratton, and I like
Yeah.
what Tiffany was saying about the whole thing. Like, oh, you thought we couldn't survive without you? Well, hey, guess what? The business is flourishing even better than when you were on top. And guess who's on top right now? Tiffany Stratton. And if
Oh.
anything, Tiffy got a bigger pop than Charlotte got tonight.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, even bigger than the booze she was getting. Like, I just thought that was really cool. But as it's beginning stages of what we're possibly getting at WrestleMania, what'd you guys think? Because like Charlotte did clap back, being like, "Oh, you're not a kid like I thought Rhea was. No, you're a child." And I'm just sitting there, wait,
That's the same thing.
are you stupid or are you dumb?
Yeah, you got.
I'm
Who
like,
said that?
wait.
Oh yeah, Mercedes said that on
Money.
Wednesday to Harley
Yeah.
Cameron. But yeah, when I heard that, I was like, "That's the same thing. That's just another
Yeah.
like, it's just another way to say like, basically, okay, kid, child. It's the same thing. It's just a different word to not say the other one." So I was like thrown off by that. I was like, "Well, you know what you're saying?"
Yeah,
But it's like when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is how I envision it. Like when I saw it come out, Charlotte comes out, obviously, just like Jay did, going out to each show, confronting the champions, and seeing, okay, which one I want to go after. Because, like we mentioned before, you're not just limited to one person just because you're on a certain brand. The Royal Rumble allows you to go after whoever you want, and it's shown before.
Yeah.
But if you have history of a certain person, like Rhea was on Raw and she won the Royal Rumble, but she decided to go after Charlotte because they had some unfinished business. So it's like having Charlotte come out saying that she's here to make history again. You can go ahead and hate me. One of the things I am happy that they're doing, and I heard this was actually a pivot because I saw like the full report that came out that we saw the other day, where
Yeah.
when she was entering this program with Tiffany, she was actually listed to be a babyface throughout this entire feud against Tiffany, but because of the reaction that she's been getting since her return, they had to pivot and make her a
Rightfully
heel,
so.
which I feel like that's the best decision you can really do because Charlotte honestly works the best as a heel. But I like how Tiffany came out and said all of that because it's true. Because look at the women's division and WWE as a whole. Like you look at what they have on Raw, you look at what they have on SmackDown, NXT. You even have what they're pushing now with the whole Evolved program. They're bringing a couple people that don't get as much screen time on NXT, and then you have the ID talent appearing on that program again. Shout out to Zeta Steele, she's gonna be on there. So it's like you're getting. So it's like even after NXT, you got these people coming. It's like Evolved NXT main roster. She got these people from Evolved coming on to NXT. So it's like there's a bunch of names coming here on out. The women's division is at its best, and I agree with that. So Tiffany wasn't wrong at all.
Yeah.
So whenever we see these situations where it's like Charlotte's trying to be at the top. We get it. That's her whole stick and everything, but you can't really disagree with Tiffany because
No.
if things were really suffering, you would notice it on television, but there's just no suffering. There's a lot of names there, like we discuss on our coverage shows or we're grappling with the week. There's a lot of people to factor in a lot of things, not just a Charlotte Flair or a Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch hasn't been here for like almost a year. Everything's been perfectly fine. They're doing great. So
Yeah.
it's like I can't disagree with Tiffany with that. And the whole thing I really want out of this is I feel like the main theme of this program is going to be top girl because that's what Charlotte's merch is pushing right now. What I really want this to be is I want this to be a story where you have Tiffany prove to Charlotte that she's able to wave the flag. So once Charlotte's not there, Tiffany's going to be there along with the Julia, Stephanie Vackers, and all the rest of them, helping build up that generation of talent when it comes. Because I feel like this is Tiffany's breakout moment, just like how we talked about with Jay winning the big one. This is her breakout moment to prove to a veteran that she's able to hang out with them. You can't really say there's many people out there that get that opportunity. You come in on the main roster, you win a championship the following year, you're headlining, you're going up against one of the veterans in the game that's considered one of the best performers in the business. You can't say that about a lot of people. So I'm really hoping they put this in the right direction and they play it out right. Because it just doesn't make sense to me in the slightest just saying this right now for Charlotte to go over in this. Doesn't really make any sense because it's like, what does Charlotte really have to prove to Tiffany Stratton? There's nothing that she really needs to prove. Her accolade shows itself, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, 14-time champion. Like, well, what are you really trying to prove here? It's more of a thing with Tiffany where she needs to prove. And I don't know if I can really get behind this whole thing with like Charlotte just going back to how we saw her before.
Because that's the thing. If she wins the title, it's really just to boost her number. And I mean,
The same promos
if you were
too.
watching the product, yeah, exactly. Well, I do like the aspect because, like, I think, tonight was a good way for Charlotte to kind of play into the heel aspect, which,
good.
again, is where she thrives, where she was just like, Tiffy, it sounds like you want me to face you. And if you want that, you have to beg me for that. And, like, it's lines like that that I do like Charlotte for because she is such a good heel. The whole queen aspect of her is so good. So like be that character, be more of that character. And like I think tonight was a good step in that direction to kind of keep that focus going, because like you gotta be kind of brain dead to bring Charlotte Flair bring Charlotte Flair back and have her as a face. Like, yeah, she might get a face pop when she comes back in the Rumble, but like you got to play upon her strengths, and her strength is being a heel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this was at least a good start.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with Nia coming out being like, "Oh, I have a title match with you next week." Fine, let's get that done and over with. Sweep that under the rug. Don't have to deal with Nia facing Tiffany again for the title. Fine, great. Let's just get that done and over with. I kind of agree with you too, Drop. I kind of wish this was at the Chamber so that way it could get defended there. But I mean, if it's gonna be on SmackDown, fine. Let's get it over with. We'll just be done with it and all that. But yeah, I like our starting point with Charlotte versus Tiffany here. So,
when it comes to me,
anything to add with anything? Yeah.
No, I'm like, hey, honestly, you guys said it perfectly. That I don't got much to add because look, Charlotte Flair should be heel. She's playing the story right. Don't go face. And Charlotte Flair, do not win this title run. Do not win this. You shouldn't. You don't need the 15. You don't need the 16 yet. You still have a couple of years. Make it special. That when you get the 15, when you get the 16, make it special. We know you're gonna get the 17, the 18, sure, whatever it may be when the time comes. But as longtime fans or people that have been watching you for your 9 years that you've been in this, a lot of those years you got back-to-back champion and it doesn't feel it was earned. We want you to earn your stride once more. we are big fans of you, and we want you to put the effort. And it doesn't mean nothing that we take away from you, from who you are as a person. We just want to see you put the effort as a fan.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, I appreciate you and your promo work. You said it right. You said it from your chest. You said it what it was. We've been doing good without the big ones. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. We
Mhm.
have the people working hard and putting the effort. We have the Rhea. We have the Tiffany. We have the Bailey. We have the Io Sky. We have the people putting the work, and we appreciate them. Charlotte Flair, you don't need to come in and be like, I am the queen. Now give me my titles. I want to be the next Mercedes Moné. Give me all four. Give me all five. You know what? Give me the tag team title without the
No,
tag team partner,
none of
even.
that. None of that. Please, as I drop my sword, I don't want any of that Mercedes Mini stuff in here.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just
get that out of here.
yeah, I'm just hoping they play their cards right with this because like I even
Yeah.
like referenced earlier where it's like heading into this program with Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair. It really makes no sense. Charlotte to Tiffany
Mhm.
WrestleMania. This is an upcoming star that's Baker and Charlotte Flair. And if you want to go
Yeah.
after her again when she's more established, at the point where we can say on the show that they're bulletproof, like we mentioned with Cody and Roman and the rest of them. Bianca falls in that category too. Rhea Ripley,
Yeah.
all of them. I want to be able to say that about Tiffany Stratton, where I'm like, oh, if Tiffany Stratton gets a loss, she'll be fine. So but I just feel like this is her big homecoming moment. You gotta strike when the iron's hot. And I also another
Mhm.
thing as well I want to mention Watkins and Vash is I also don't
Arthur.
want it to be an ongoing theme where when you win the Royal Rumble, you gotta win at WrestleMania all the time because that's
Mhm.
been an ongoing theme I noticed outside of Cody on 39 that they've been doing recently where somebody always wins. So it's like if I were to choose between the two, I'd rather Jay have his moment than Charlotte.
Mhm.
Because you can't always be like,
Yeah.
100%.
you win the Rumble, you gotta win. You gotta get your moment.
Yeah.
You can't always do that.
And honestly, they have been kind of good with that recently. Because, like, when you look at 38, that was Brock and Roman, and
Oh,
Brock lost. The year
oh
before
yeah.
that, it was Edge, I think. So they've at least been at
Yeah.
least balanced with it.
Yeah.
But I do get your sentiment where it's just like, okay, they don't both have to
Yeah.
always win.
At least in a
Like
way,
the Royal
people that
Rumble
need it
one.
more than the other. That's basically what I'm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it just
So
makes their
yeah.
stock be more legitimized. It just makes it
Mhm.
more important. Right? Right,
But
Watkins?
yeah. Yeah. So, but we'll have more to say as the weeks go on, and as when Charlotte makes her choice for Tiffany and all that. So, we're gonna transition now. So, I wanted to bring up the quick fire segments earlier because there's just one really quick fire segment that I wanted to mention because it's really good, and it's gonna just start an agenda, and I'm gonna try my best, ladies and gentlemen, to get this trending. The hashtag justice for KO. Cause this car promo that he did, God, it was you. You want to talk about heartfelt promos? You want to talk
Yeah.
about like feeling so hurt? You want to talk about a promo that makes you really root for somebody, and like the fact that he's being booked as a heel when it's just like, no, you are not the heel in any of this whatsoever. It was this promo from KO. This one where he talks about just how hurt he was at the fact that Sammy did nothing to help him at the Royal Rumble. And it's like, it's not even the fact of just like helping him win the title. Sammy stood there and watched as Kevin not only got injured, not only almost lost his career, he almost said to the point that like he thought Cody was gonna end him, like unalive him and all that. And I have to say that because we're on YouTube, and all that stuff. But it's like
Mm.
it got to that point, and it's just like it's such a visceral real promo that he cut in his car, and it's just like, how can I root against this guy, because then he made the point of like, yeah, you stood there while I almost lost my career, and yet later on in the night during the Rumble you rush to the aid of Roman Reigns, the man who put me down for 4 years, almost 5 years, mind you. Like the man that just constantly has to like keep me down from achieving the greatness that I know I am. Like that's why for months, ever since KO made this switch, I have been I have been behind him. I have been on his side because it makes sense to me. It's like I get that hurt. I get that just like feeling of just like people betraying you and just you feeling alone, being so confused about like why are people going this route? Why are people helping the person that just like dominated everything with an iron fist and like made everyone's lives a living hell for years, especially my own. Like this interview was just it was so freaking good, man. Like this is why I love Kevin Owens, because he knows how to really get somebody behind you. And I get it. Technically, his booking is him being a heel, but I'm sorry, this was a fucking babyface promo for me, and I am just like I am fully behind Kevin Owens. I want him to package pile drive every single person that's been helping not Kevin, been helping Roman Reigns for this whole thing, because yes, Kevin has a point and he is justified in just about everything he's been doing. But I don't care if I'm the only one on that island. I will die on that island. I will die on that hill. I don't care. Hashtag justice for KO. Oh, Drop, what did you think of that?
No, I thought this was
That
great.
promo,
I thought
like-
this is great, especially since this is building into the next chapter for Kevin Owens, because congrats for like 5 years, by the way. That's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah.
5 years.
Yeah,
Probably
he
got a
signed
good
again.
probably got a good amount of money. Wouldn't be surprised if it's like around 4 or 5 million. He deserves it. He's
yeah.
doing the best of he's been doing his best work. Honestly, that we've seen for like quite some time. It's probably the best we've seen him in a while. But I really like that. I'm looking forward to that whole entire Sammy and KO program. It should be very good. I feel like we are getting it at the Elimination Chamber, which I'm like super excited for. And I can't wait to really see how things like turn out, because when you get a serious Kevin Owens, you get a serious Sammy, get some real storytelling, and you get a really good match out of the both of them. Looking forward to that. And he's, again, like you said, he's makes sense with everything that he's saying. And I'm really happy that, you know, he's being put in the position that he deserves to be in.
So I'm curious, because like, so you don't see this as a Mania match. You see this more as an Elimination Chamber match. Like, is it because of just the Toronto thing, or do you think like maybe they'll have another match at Mania? Like, let's say maybe they have a match that just gets thrown out at Elimination Chamber that leads into Mania. Like,
main reason why I'm saying this is because you got to slot Randy Orton in a program at WrestleMania, and I feel like, and he also has unfinished business with KO, so you can't just ignore that and move on post Mania. Obviously, Randy Orton is selling the effects of what happened with that, but this is just one of those things where you got this program between the both of them. They could have that moment at the Elimination Chamber, and then you got to tell that story of Randy Orton. You can't just move on from that. That's the thing.
You think they could do it like the opposite way by chance? Because like, the reason I say that is because like on commentary, you know, they did mention, you know, Sami Zayn's out indefinitely because of the package pile driver thing. So
they could. It all depends when Randy shows face again, because then that's when you would. That's another thing. It's like we talked about months ago. Whenever Rock shows face again, we get a good indication of where the Mania plans are. It's the same thing with Randy. Or you get a good indication of what KO's doing, because you know there's unfinished business between the both of them, and you know he's going to come back with an RKO or a punt kick or something along the lines of that. So he shows up sometime this month, and they want to do that at Elimination Chamber. That's fine. But we're still early in the month. We got to see how things go.
Yeah.
But
okay. Vash, what'd you think of this car promo of Kevin Owens's?
Well, you guys hit it on the head. The most I could add about it is that congratulations to KO to signing his new contract, and you know, guys, go buy his daughter the Girl Scout cookies. You know,
oh shoot, yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah, I suggest getting the oatmeal chocolate drizzle one is one I get all the time. That's just
oatmeal chocolate drizzle.
Yeah.
What?
I forgot what the actual name. I forgot what the actual name is. I probably ain't butchering it. Walker's probably just judge me right now, questioning live.
You get the peanut butter. I don't care if anybody's allergic to it. You get the peanut butter.
I will look.
Whatever they
But
call along. Tag
when it comes to KO, he knows how to give the realism, and he is justified. I don't know if I'm gonna give the hashtag justice for KO.
Nah,
But
justice for KO.
I understand where he's coming from. He speaks volume when he speaks about, like, yo, if y'all have not seen the playlist of Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, the OG, literally attacking KO for months and months for 4 years, y'all should understand why this man hates the Bloodline. This man is justified for the hatred.
Exactly.
If you thought Seth having hatred for CM Punk is justified, KO is justified for the Bloodline. This man, when he sees them on site, is on site because like this man literally got, I believe, 2 chair shots from Jimmy and Jay attacking the KO in the corner with having the chair on KO. Like, yo, he is right to be justified. So he's being crashed out. This man's crashed out, and I do agree where Walker's drop said. When Randy gets in the stories where we find out more questions, I thought a Sammy versus KO would have happened for Elimination Chamber for Canada to represent them, but it's more as right now, like Walker said, we have Sammy out for indefinitely, so it depends where the story goes.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, speaking of justifications for things, we have a justified match here between Carmelo Hayes and Akira Tozawa. Now, this is justified because, hey, Carmelo did take out Tozawa, but, hey, you know what? It at least led to a very, very viral moment for IShowSpeed getting speared into oblivion by Braun Breaker. But you know what? The only thing I really have to say about I got 2 things to say about this match. First of all, I'm glad they were given time because Akira Tozawa is really good in the ring. So I'm glad they were at least given time to at least showcase Tozawa a little bit. But my other thing is, thank God Carmelo Hayes won, because if he didn't win this match tonight,
you guys would have seen another rant tonight. You guys would have seen another rant.
We would have been here for another 2 hours if that was the case. Like, I'm just glad Melo finally got a W. His first W since September, mind you.
Yes, so, correct. I'm appreciate
glad,
for bringing it up.
I'm glad he won. I'm glad he's getting some sort of forward momentum now. Let's keep that forward momentum going. But transition to you guys. What do you think of this match overall?
Drop, if you don't mind, I may go first. I really wanted Akira Tozawa to win just for the fuck of it, chat. I just really wanted Akira Tozawa to win. Just to cause chaos. But look, Carmelo Hayes won. This was a 7-minute and 30-second match. I was really proud that it was almost a good 8-minute match. It was as long as the Bianca Belair and Piper Niven match. It was 8-minute 5 compared to also to the Drew McIntyre and Jimmy and LA Knight. That was a 12-minute 40. So compared to those matches, this was a good 8-minute, and I was really proud that they actually had time. And Tozawa, we may see a heel turn. Are we gonna see a different version, or was this just a one-off? Because this match was really good to see Tozawa, not just like the whole jokey character. Because if anybody also have not seen the transformation that Akira Tozawa has done from in the beginning when he joined the roster to now, that's a transformation that I'm very impressed, and congrats to him in the work he has put in. The last thing I will say is, if anybody hasn't jumped on the timeline and seen a little 5-second or a little 10-second clip when it comes to Carmelo Hayes, he did this little scoop and then shoot it behind him. He said that he's not buried, is what he was telling the audience. So it was pretty little funny clip that he was doing that. Hopefully he doesn't get in trouble of playing little 4-4 breaking. Hopefully Triple H just takes it, and everyone else backstage just like, hey, little joke, little on the nose, because they also read the timeline, read what people are saying. So I'm glad Carmelo Hayes is having fun, and he's knowing what the timeline is. So that's my 2 things that I want to really bring up. And the match was good overall.
I mean, the only thing I really have to say is I'm just glad things are back on track with Melo. Just hoping that we keep this rhythm going with him and he's getting more wins. He's somebody that I was definitely concerned about when it comes to his booking recently because he's
Oh yeah.
somebody like a Braun Breaker who can really carry the division in the future, and you really have to have the audience hop on board with him now before it's too late. So I'm hoping this definitely um leads to that. We get him in matches, gets more wins, thing going down those sort of lines because he was really
Mhm.
suffering and it really bothered me to really see him in that position. And for that thing that he did online, I mean, that he did on the show, I don't think he's gonna get in trouble for that because you got to remember Triple H was in the game too, so he probably saw a lot of that shit going on all the time when he was wrestling and when Twitter became a thing, and even Triple H has poked fun at Twitter where it's like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go on Twitter and complain about it and do this and do that, which of course is a lot of that shit to some of it I understand based on certain situations. Other things a little
Yeah.
overboard, a lot of doom posting, a lot of overreacting.
Yeah.
Some things I can understand, but then there's a part of it within the IWC where they like overreact about everything. But just hoping
Yeah.
things are doing good for him. That's what I really.
Yeah, and just to kind of put a good exclamation point on what you just said, um, don't forget, people, many years ago, Cody broke a throne with a sledgehammer,
Yep.
so, and he's back in the WWE company now, so, just take that, okay? So we're just gonna pivot now to our tag team title scene. We had DIY coming out, and they're starting to gloat about how they beat Motor City Machine Guns twice. I love how they use their little acronyms here, and I had to kind of rewind and just kind of make sure I got the acronym right because they were saying they are the BTTITW, which means Best Tag Team in the World. I love DIY because of things like that. And
I'm
we're
glad you
trying to
remember
get
that because I see that in a document while we were about to transition. I'm like reading. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I feel
oh,
like I'm
trust
old.
me.
I do not remember this.
Oh, dude, I had to I had to rewind a little bit just to make sure I got the letters right. And then I was like, all right, what do they mean by BTTITW? And then I was like, oh, okay, fine, I get it. I
Look,
understand.
I'll be
Um,
honest. This was my least favorite match or segment of the night. Not because it was bad. I'm gonna just be
mhm,
honest. Why would you have a 3 minute match for the tag team champions and to also get pinned for a non fucking title match to get a fucking title match? It felt like I was watching
yeah,
a Vince booking or
Yeah, I
like
mean, you're not
or like
wrong.
a lazy
That's how I
booking
feel
and like
about it
yo
too.
Triple H like really like you're gonna give the champions who just did a great 2 out of 3 match that was 11 minutes this past weekend at the Royal
mhm,
Rumble weekend and then give Pretty Deadly who are not saying that are not getting no pop but they're not really getting over as what you're hoping to get and you're giving them
Yeah.
a win a pin over the champions for a non-title match and then to go for the following week or two, who knows when, for a title match, it makes no fucking sense.
No,
mhm,
Whew, that got me mad.
no, I definitely agree with you because it's just one of those situations where it's like I wouldn't have mind putting them in a qualification match if they went up against somebody else to get into the position that they're in,
yeah,
just to build their stock, just for them to be believable. Because it's like I
Authors of
mentioned,
Pain.
it they're gone.
oh, they're gone now,
But
so
it's like I mentioned before. It's like you have all these teams on there, like we talked about with Mello tonight, how him winning now we hope it takes off for him. I would
mhm,
want to see them get a couple wins under their belt. Maybe they go through maybe two or maybe 2 or 3 teams in there. You also got to factor in the Street Profits because you had a little vignette with them too. So it's like at
yeah,
least I would have some credibility built with them because I never really been a fan of these things where it's like you have a team go up against a champion or even if it's a one-on-one match because this is one of the things I didn't really like the AEW does, the little eliminator thing
mhm,
where it's like they have the
oh
guy
yeah,
go up against the champion and if they pin the champion they get the match. I've never been a big fan of that in any promotion because
yeah,
it's kind of a reminisce of what we saw in the previous administration because one of the
mhm,
things that you needed to do and we even ranted about it with the ladies tonight is you got to make your champions look strong and the only time I want to see them lose is when they lose those belts.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and
I'm
that's the thing. Like you guys are pointing out, this is something we saw in an old era, and it was old then. and it's old now. It's kind of lazy. Now, I say that, but there were a couple things that I personally did like in this. First of all, it's the fact that this was an impromptu match and we had DIY in street clothes, which that's something I really like because a lot of times when you get like an impromptu match like this, you see like the champions, for example, they come out for their promo and they're already in their wrestling gear. So you already know, okay, they're about to have a match, like a impromptu match coming up right now. Cool, fine, whatever. But like I like this because like it's more chaotic this way. It's a little bit more unpredictable where it's like, oh, they're just out here to gloat, they'll promote for another match to come up. Oh, wait, they're actually put into a match right now that they're actually not ready for. Like I think we saw this with like the Miz maybe a year ago or like a year and a half ago where he wasn't ready for a match. He had to wrestle in a suit. You know, so
I
like
recall.
it
Yes,
just
yes, you're right.
yeah. So like it just adds to the unpredictability with that. So that's one thing I did like. The other thing I did like is at least the finish with this because you had DIY who, you know, they were trying to do a bunch of cheap shots throughout the match and all that. And there was a point where Ciampa was trying to use the rope to, you know, get the leverage and have the pin and all that. But it ended up backfiring on him. He, you know, he gets kicked in the face, gets rolled up, and they end up losing in the same way that they kind of try to cheat and all that. So I at least like that aspect of like their story going forward. Where it's like, okay, you try to cheat, but it didn't work for you, but hey, we're gonna do the same thing you try to do, and hey, it worked out for us. So hey, that's what you get because you guys are cheaters and tried to get one up on us. So I think that just kind of plays into that story a little bit. But like, yeah, I'm in the same boat where it's just like I don't like these matches where it's like, okay, you're gonna face the champion in a non-title match, you beat them, now you can face them in a title match. That's like that that's just dumb because like especially when we were getting those a lot of the times it ending up being where the champion would still win at the end
Yeah.
and retain their title. And it's just like, well, you're telegraphing your title match. Like every now and then the challenger would win in that aspect. But even then it's just like, what are we doing? This is just a lazy way to set up your next challenger and all that.
It is
I
100%.
agree.
I'm not here for it.
No, me
No,
neither.
I'm not. But I at least wanted to point out the positive stuff that I at least liked in it, you know, because again, there's usually something good you can find in most crap things. I say most, but you know that's neither here nor there. But hey, you know what? That was SmackDown. I think overall it was okay. You know, a lot of again we said it at the beginning. These 3 hour SmackDowns are they just kind of plod along. They just kind of like it's just like what Raws were when they were 3 hours. You know, I wish we could go into that 2.5 hour mode because like Raw's pacing is just so good with what we get, what we set up, and what we do moving forward. And SmackDown, it just feels like it. It feels like back in the day. You know, this just feels like old style booking with it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, but Vash, any closing thoughts with SmackDown?
I would say when it comes to SmackDown, chat, I also want to give you the reminder. We are aware that we also did mention some of the releases, some of the reports that did come out today. We did put some shine and thoughts about it, but we will have more further conversation when it comes to our next episode for our Grapple of the Week this coming Thursday. So stay tuned for that at 8:30 p.m. EST. So because we will dive more deep into a hot topic about the releases and how it would work. For example, because over the past year we had Dijak. We had Cameron Grimes being moved to the main roster, but then being released weeks or months later, right after they just got promoted. So that's more further to conversation. When it comes to SmackDown, all I got is, hey, Triple H, please go back to 2 hours to make it fat and reasonable to actually be there. If not, do not make the show too bloated when you're not making it consistent. When you have fucking other stars and don't put your champions and tag team champions in there to lose, or even have Lyra or even Chelsea Green should not get pinned. But then if they don't get pinned and they win, they're gonna eventually get pinned at that elimination chamber because they're not gonna go to win that elimination chamber because this is not their point. but then they're still gonna get pinned eventually by whoever pins them at the Elimination Chamber. So it makes no fucking sense. I get it. You want them spotlight, you want them star power. If anything, just have a match for them at the Elimination Chamber if you still want them to be presented. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. But drop any closing thoughts on SmackDown.
I'm just hoping the things that we discussed today, like I'm not gonna really reiterate what I talked, but I'm just gonna end it off and say that I'm just hoping they look at what people are saying online, because they do take that into account.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really hoping they have like a better mindset heading into this entire build up WrestleMania, how they're structuring. Based on what I'm seeing so far, not the biggest fan. I'll see how things play out throughout February, because we're still in the early stage. But I'm just hoping when I come on here on Monday, we talk about what happens on Raw. I'm hoping we have a better conversation there, because I don't want to come on here and rant about stuff. I want to come on here and have a casual conversation about what happens throughout the show, talk about all the good things. That's what I mainly want. The only reason why we sometimes come on here and vent is because we're trying to get some frustration out, and it's kind of hard to cut. It's kind of hard to really hold that back, because we can't just be like, okay, everything's rainbows and unicorns, everything's fine. Sometimes you got to speak your piece. Some people like things, some people dislike things. That's just how the world operates. But hoping there's some improvement there based on what we discussed tonight.
I agree.
And that's the thing. We try to be honest on the show, and we're just honest consumers, and we just enjoy our product, and we want it to be as good as it can be, as good as we know it can be.
Yeah.
And look, chat.
Again,
if you enjoy our product so much, I also want to tell you one thing you guys should be doing as well. Go follow us on social media. AniMa W3 Studio, Legend D Vash, Watkins NW, Drop This Box. All the handles are down below in the description in the YouTube side, or in the lower third right there in the bottom, and you see the hashtag, you see the handle of Weebs of the Ring. We're out there on TikTok, IG, Blue Sky, Twitter/X. That's all I missed. Yeah, I got all the social media handles. So all the YouTube videos, we check out homepages, check out the flagship's main page, AniMa W3 Studio, or the Vault. Check out the original content, Weebs of the Ring. If you like what we're doing, also Grappling the Week, our new show of pro wrestling. Go check that out. We appreciate you guys, listening and joining.
Yeah, and you know what? I appreciate you, Vash, because you knew exactly what I was about to do. Transition to all of our wonderful, awesome, lovely plugs. But, as much as I appreciate you, I do actually want to go ahead and take some time to appreciate you out there. That's right, you, Jessica, for checking out the Weebs of the Ring podcast and taking time out of your day to listen to us rant and moan, and also praise the things that we love and sometimes despise about pro wrestling. So if you enjoyed what we had to say, again, do exactly what do exactly what Vash said, and be sure to check us out on all those social media platforms, and also be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring, because we'll be checking that and making sure, seeing how conversation's going, and if you have any feedback for us, we do appreciate that, because we love to up our game as much as our superstars like to up their game and all that. So yeah, be sure to use that hashtag Weebs of the Ring. We'll interact with you before, during, and after all these programs. And yeah, just again, thank you for watching. And remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Sweet dreams, pleasant nightmares, and we will see you on Monday night for our sidecast on Twitch, as well as our post-show coverage of Monday Night Raw.
Let's go Netflix and chill.
See you guys.